Good morning, everyone. So today's topic is about the pointers. In this computer programming and utilization topic, this chapter pointer is very important for the students. Okay. So let's move on to the what we are going to cover in these pointers. So first topic we'll be going for this is the introduction to the pointer. Then what are the advantages the pointer have, why we use the pointers. Then the declaration of the pointers, why I need to declare the pointers and how to declare the pointers. Then we have the pointer arithmetic, what we can do with the pointers. Then how the pointers can be used with the arrays, pointers with the functions. And in the last we will be covering things to avoid and a little bit of fun point. So what is a pointer? Pointer is basically a derived data type. So what are the data types? Basically in C we have the integer, float, different data types. Pointer is the derived data type, means it is derived from these basic types. I cannot directly use the pointer. I have to use some special things about the pointers. So how to define a pointer? A pointer is a variable which contains the address of another variable. Means a pointer I can define as a variable, but it is not containing the value, it is containing the address of the variable. So I can say that it is a variable that holds the memory address rather than its content, meaning instead of a value it contains the address of the content. So I can say that pointers are like the general purpose registers for high level languages in C. See, we have a different languages like assembly level language, low level language and the high level language. In high level language, pointers can be taken as the general purpose registers. So why I need the pointers? So there must be some advantages so that I am using the pointers instead of other things. So first advantage is it is more efficient in handling arrays and data tables. That means when I use the array functions and the different data types stored in the memory as a tables, then pointer can be used easily with them. They can be manipulated very easily with the pointers. Second advantage is to return multiple values via the functions. That means from a function I can return different values at a different times. Say for example, a function is returning at any time a value 1, at another time it may be returning another value, say 2. So we can say we can return multiple values via the functions. So third advantage next is passing of the functions as arguments to the other functions, meaning I can pass the value of the function that we call the call by value and the call by reference. So I can pass the function as an argument. So pointer can be used as an argument in the functions that we will be covering in the pointers to the functions. So next advantage is dynamic memory allocation. See, normally when we allocate a memory for different integers, float or variables, that means different data types, that is a fixed value stored in the memory. But when we allocate the memory through the pointers, or you can say when I use the pointers, they have a different memories. They can be changed anytime. So that means it is not a static. Every time it will be different. So I say it is a dynamic memory allocation. Another advantage of the pointer is I can reduce my code size and the execution time, meaning if I use the pointers and I have the dynamic memory, meaning I am reducing the size of the program that I have. So let us see how these advantages can be occurred with the pointers. So we can assume our memory as a linear array as shown in this figure. We have a memory cell with this red color and the number showing 179 at sub value. On the right hand side I am showing the addresses, say address 0, 1, 2, 5000 and last is 65535. So what is this 65535? This is basically 64 kilobyte. In generally earlier CPUs we have 64 kilobyte of memory. So I have this shown as the memory of the earlier CPU. Nowadays we have a Pentium and we have a bigger memories. So I can assume the different variables to be stored in this value in the memory cells. So how these cells are stored, that will be covering next. So in this memory organization, the thing is, remember, is these memory cells contain the value of the data, but in programming I have to assign some variable to this to access this. So how a variable is represented in memory? I have shown the memory as these lines or these blocks arranged from top to bottom. So how this variable is represented in the memory? Suppose in language I assign integer height is equal to 179 or 179. So how it is shown? Here it is written as 179 at the address 5000. So this I have zoomed into the memory and I am showing the different variable, their value and their addresses. So height I have taken as 179 and it is stored at the address 5000. So if I assign another variable that has the address height, that has the address of height, same, that means 5000. So here I am assigning ptr, a pointer that has the value 5000, that is basically the address of the height. So this is something like this. This ptr having the address 5000 is pointing towards the height. So this we can say this is basically a kind of pointer. So this ampersand character or the and symbol we have put before the height is basically a addressing operator that will be covering later on. But first, the main thing to understand from this concept is, in the memory variables are stored, their values are stored. A variable I have taken is height, its value stored is 179 at address 5000. So this 5000 I assign to another variable. So by using that ptr variable I can directly access the value 179. How we can do that? That is the purpose of pointer. So basically, how can we differentiate the variable and a pointer? Basically a definition. So definition of a variable is, a variable name directly refers a value. That means in this figure I have directly given the value 179 to the variable height. A pointer indirectly references a value. Here pointer is ptr and it is addressing to 5000 and at 5000 is the value 179. So means pointer is going to 5000 then to 179 value. So that means it is indirectly references a value. So referencing a value through a pointer is called indirection. So this operator we have used here is ampersand, is the indirection operator. So I can say a pointer variable must be declared before it can be used. So we have done all these things. A variable can be directly referring a value, a pointer indirectly referring a value, and to go to that value I need the indirection operator. So pointer variable must be declared before it can be used. So how to declare the pointer variable now? Oh, this I have shown with this diagram indirectly. I have a variable b, that is 1008. Okay. This is a pointer. Where it is pointing to? It is pointing to 1008. Here the name of the variable is a. This is at the address 002 and the value is 1008. This 1008 I have taken in b. This is again the same example as previously mentioned. So how to declare a pointer? Now we know that I can indirectly also access to some value in the memory. So I need to declare a pointer. To declare a pointer I need a variable called star or asterisk before each variable name. I have to put this star. So what does this asterisk do? This basically tells the compiler that a variable to the pointer is to be assigned. That means asterisk is going for the pointer assignment and the data type that the pointer points to, but not the name of the variable pointed to. So what is written in the last line? Asterisk shows basically the type of data that pointer points to, but not the name of the variable pointed to. That means if I want to give the value of that variable, I can be using the pointer, but not the name of the pointer. So see, this is a little bit of tricky situation. So how to avoid this trick? See, these are the examples of a pointer. First one is file star fptr. That means it is declaring a file pointer named fptr. See, now it is different from an integer. If I declare integer, it will be simply file fptr. Okay. But if I declare a pointer, I have put a star before fptr. So this is now file star fptr, declaring a file pointer. Another example I have taken is integer star aptr. That means it is declaring an integer pointer. Now integer definition, we do not put a star. I can directly define int a. But when I go for a pointer, I declare int star aptr. Another example is with the float data type. Declare a pointer to a float. So that we can do by using float star name of that variable. So now bptr is basically pointing to the float variable. Character pointer, declare a pointer to the character. So what is this doing? This is basically pointing a cptr to a character. So now we know that if we want to point to character, I have to declare a character pointer. If we want to point to a floating number, we have to declare a floating pointer. If we want to point to integer, we have to point basically called aptr that we have given in the first example. So these are the declaration of pointers. But declaration is not enough. We need to initialize this. Before coming to this, there is one more point that we need to remember, that all the variables, either pointer or data, must have a unique name. That means if I declare a variable by name, say given in the example below, say ptr, I have given this is an integer variable. So I cannot declare another ptr by the star. Means I have to put star ptr1 or star ptr2. So all variables, either pointer or data, must have a unique name. So pointers can be declared with the regular variables in the same line, as shown in the last line. I have declared x, ptr, star ptr and star ptr2. Two are integers, two are pointers. So multiple pointers require a star before each variable declaration, again shown in this. I cannot declare star ptr1, star ptr2. I have to put a comma in between this. So this last line takes care of all the 3 points as I have mentioned. Integer x, this is an integer x. Then integer star ptr1, this is a pointer 1 pointing to an integer pointer. Then we have integer ptr, that is integer named by the name of that ptr. Then ptr2 appended by the sign star, that means it is a pointer to an integer. Okay, so these are the declaration of the pointers. Next we go for the initialization. So now we have declared the variables by the name pointers. So what we do need to know is the initializing the pointer. So how to initialize this pointer? So this slide show the difference between the declaration and the initialization. So I have declared an int y means integer y. Then in the second line, I have declared int star yptr. That means I have declared yptr name pointer, that is integer pointer. So I have put a star before this. So that means it is an integer pointer. So this is a declaration. Now what is initialization means? I have to give some value to this. So that is the initialization. So how to give value? Again we will be using this ampersand character or the and character we use. So I declare yptr as equal to ampersand and then y. That means address of the y is assigned the value yptr. That means now yptr pointer is pointing to y. Okay, clear about this? And y means address of y, and this is assigned to the yptr, means now yptr is an integer pointer pointing to the address of y. Okay, so in one line, how can I do this? All the 3 lines that is shown next. Integer y comma star yptr is equal to and symbol then y. This is a 3-in-1 kind of statement. So what is this doing? This is assigning first integer y, initializing an integer y and giving its value, address of that value to the yptr. So all these 3 lines combined in this one line. But remember this, I cannot do as shown below. Integer star yptr is equal to y, then I declare y. This is wrong. Why this is wrong? Because I have not initialized the y. First I need to initialize the y, then I will be assigning its address to the y pointer. So I need to take care of this. First the variable must be initialized, then it should be assigned. I cannot assign beforehand. So this last statement is wrong. No, address operator we have declared here. So how this thing is working, how this ampersand is doing all this juggling of the things, so that we can do by explaining this. Say y, I have taken the value y 5, int y is equal to 5. So then in second line I declare int star yptr, and in the third line yptr is equal to address of the y. So let's see in this figure how these things works. Y is initialized the value 5 on the right hand side block, and it is having the address 6000. So now when I do yptr is equal to ampersand of y, this address operator, that means this 6000 is stored in the yptr. See now yptr address is different from the address of the y. Y is having address 6000 while yptr is having address 5000. But we need to remember this, ypr is containing the address of the variable y by the third line. When we execute the third line yptr is equal to ampersand of y, then this yptr contains the address of y, that is 6000. So that is mentioned here, that address of y is the value of yptr. So that is how we use this addressing operator. Now we have initialized the pointer. We need to take care of some things, because pointers I have mentioned earlier is very tricky to use. See, I have in this last slide I have assigned integer y is equal to 5 and then assigned the address of that to the y pointer, that is an integer pointer. Now I suppose do a different thing and assign a value to the pointer. Value is a variable with the data type of float, and there is another variable that is integer pointer. Okay, now what we do, now I have done ptr is equal to and val, means address of the value is assigned to the pointer. Now this is wrong. Why this is wrong? Because the pointer must be assigned address of the same data type. Means if